let's do negative light. So this is when the light source is behind the viewer. You have this drawing. Here's our viewer looking straight ahead. This plane here, that's this vertical section of this hemisphere, this is where if the sun was along this plane, this would be the parallel light. And then if the sun's out here in front, positive light, and if the sun's behind the viewer, it is considered negative. And if the sun's behind the viewer, then all the shadows, of course, are going to be going toward the horizon line. If it's positive, the shadows are going away from the horizon line. And if they're parallel, then they are going straight across the parallel with the horizon line. Okay, so usually it's done just something like this. Now, if you don't want to be too specific about things, you have your horizon line, and we'll draw just a little stick here. And along this horizon line, just like with the positive light, this is where your ground line vanishing point is going to be, along this line, and you could just pick out a spot if you don't really care. It's kind of like a more of an aesthetic choice. If you want the shadows to go over to the left, you want the shadows to go over to the right. So I'm just going to pick this spot. Here's my ground line vanishing point. So the shadows are going to be going backward like this, going towards the horizon line. And they keep going towards the horizon line until the light angle cuts them off. The light angle determines how long the shadows are. So this one, like here where we have the positive light, so the light angle vanishing point is lined up with the ground line vanishing point. That has to happen. So this is the sun, or there could be the moon. This is your light source. So here, the light angle vanishing point also needs to be lined up with the ground line vanishing point. It is going to be on a line that goes below, which kind of might seem strange, like the light angle vanishing point is below the ground. But in this case, the light angle vanishing point is not the light source. It is just a point that draws an incline at a specific angle. Okay, that will explain that a little bit better. So here is the light angle vanishing point. So this, if I draw a line from here, I just made the light angle vanishing point up. And it could be, if you want longer shadows, you put it up higher. If you want shorter shadows, you put it down lower. So this dot draws a line at that angle to the ground plane. So the sun really is out here someplace. The ray of light is coming this direction. We just can't put the picture of the sun on our drawing because the sun is behind the viewer. You can't draw things that are behind the viewer's back. So this is the ray of light coming from the sun, and it's hitting the ground right there, and then it keeps going and keeps going, and then this is basically infinity here. This light angle vanishing point is just like an auxiliary vanishing point. So if you go back to those videos that talked about using auxiliary vanishing points, that is exactly what that is. It just draws a line that is at whatever this angle is. I don't know what this angle is because I just made up that spot. So here's, let's explain it this way. Let's look at this as an elevation view. So here's ground, here's the earth, and then here's the viewer. And here's, let's just draw a stick. Here's the stick. And then behind the viewer, this is the light source, this is the sun. And from the sun, here's the ray of light coming from the sun, and it hits the ground right here, and that's the length of the shadow of this stick with the sun here. So the picture plane is out like here someplace in front of the viewer. It can be anywhere in front of the viewer, but the picture plane has to be in front of the viewer. You can't have a picture plane that is behind the viewer. So if we kept this, let's just put an angle here, and we'll just say that's X. That's what angle the ray of light is coming and hitting the ground at. And if this, we say this is the horizon line, this is the end of the earth right there. If we kept this light ray going and brought it out to infinity, we get a point here. This is our light angle vanishing point. So this dot draws lines that are this angle to the ground. So any dot, any line I draw from this dot is going to be parallel with each other. All like vanishing points that are at infinity draw lines that are parallel with every other line that comes from that point. So if I have another, let's put another stick here. And here's the shadow of this stick. See, these shadows are parallel with each other too, because they go to the same vanishing point that's on this horizon line. So they're not really getting closer together back here. They're just getting farther away from the viewer. And then this line that goes to this light angle vanishing point, these two lines are also parallel with each other because they're going to the same vanishing point. So this is going to the sun also. It's a little harder to wrap the head around this one, than it is something like the positive light when you could actually like see the sun in your drawing. And then with something like this where the sun cannot be shown in your drawing, all you can really show in the drawing is the ray of light that is coming from behind the viewer, hitting the ground. So we'll these I just made these up in a random spot. So for the next one, we'll put the sun in a particular place in space behind the viewer. So that'll be the next one.